The film begins with a beautiful 18-year-old country girl named Maria. She lives deep in the forest with her mother, spending her days tending to their cows. Maria is incredibly innocent and has lived a simple, isolated life, knowing almost nothing about cities or modern society. We also learn that her only companion is her loyal dog. She has never had any friends or been in a relationship with a man. However, after reaching adulthood and noticing the changes in her body, she begins to feel lonely and emotionally deprived. Confused by the powerful emotions and desires she is experiencing for the first time, she struggles to understand what is happening to her. Since there are no young men living nearby, she is left to cope with these unfamiliar feelings on her own. One day, while grazing her family's cows in the forest, Maria suddenly feels as though someone is watching her. Frightened, she looks in every direction, trying to find whoever might be following her, but she can't see anyone. Eventually, she convinces herself that she must have imagined it. Later, she happily plays with her dog before taking a swim in a nearby lake. While she's in the water, she once again has the unsettling feeling that someone is secretly watching her. Alarmed, she quickly gets dressed, then lies on the grass to relax in the sun. Even then, she can't shake the feeling that someone is still observing her from a distance. That evening, as she milks the cows with her mother, Maria can't stop thinking about the mysterious stranger who seems to be watching her. Her mother notices that something is bothering her and grows concerned, checking to make sure she's alright. The next day, Maria returns to the forest alone. The physical and hormonal changes she's been experiencing continue to overwhelm her, and she still has no idea why her body and emotions feel so different. As she tries to calm herself down, she suddenly notices the silhouette of a man approaching from afar. She immediately assumes he's the mysterious person who has been secretly watching her all this time. Gathering her courage, Maria walks toward him and discovers that he's an artist named David. To her shock, she finds several drawings he has made of her while she was bathing without clothes. Terrified, Maria instinctively backs away. David quickly reassures her, explaining that he has been coming to the forest for a long time to sketch her, and that he has many drawings of her from those moments. When Maria came to her senses, David gently reassured her that no one would ever see the drawings. He told her that he genuinely admired her and would never do anything to hurt her. Hearing those words made Maria incredibly happy. For the first time in her life, she felt that someone truly cared about her and appreciated her. The two of them gradually got to know each other better. Maria told David that she lived with her mother in a small house nearby and spent her days taking care of her mother's cows. David, in return, explained that he didn't have a permanent home because he traveled from place to place searching for beautiful landscapes and people to paint. He also told her that he earned a great deal of money by selling his artwork. As they talked, David tried to make her feel comfortable. He gently held her hand, admired her natural beauty, and complimented her hair, telling her how beautiful it was. It was the first time anyone had ever said such kind and flattering words to Maria, and she couldn't hide how happy they made her feel. Embarrassed by his compliments, Maria shyly left. That evening, while milking the cows, she couldn't stop thinking about everything David had said. She became so lost in her thoughts that she completely lost track of time. When her mother noticed how late she was, she went to check on her. Maria quickly called out that she was just finishing the milking and would be home soon. But her mother sensed that something had changed. She felt that Maria was hiding something, as her behavior was no longer the same. The following morning, Maria returned to the forest with the cows. She went straight to the spot where David had been sitting the day before, only to find that he wasn't there. Disappointed, she stood there looking at herself, still confused by the changes she had been experiencing and unable to understand what was happening to her. Determined to find him, she searched the forest until she finally did. She greeted David warmly and, having thought about him all night, admitted that she hadn't been able to stop thinking about everything he had said to her. She told him that no one had ever spoken to her with such kindness before, then stepped closer and confessed that she had fallen in love with him. Maria then asked David why he was so determined to paint her without clothes. He smiled and told her it was because of her beauty. He said she was incredibly attractive and unlike anyone he had ever met. He also complimented her figure, explaining that her natural proportions were what inspired him to paint her. David admitted that she had a presence that could capture anyone's attention, and he finally confessed that he was the one who had been secretly watching her all along. Hearing this frightened Maria, and she asked, "After everything you've done, what do you really want from me?" David looked at her and replied, "I love you. I've never met anyone as beautiful as you, and I could never leave you." He continued to reassure her, trying to calm her fears. Eventually, Maria trusted him completely. Overwhelmed by her feelings for David, she chose to be intimate with him, and they shared their first romantic moment together. Maria felt happier than she had ever been, believing that David had finally filled the emotional emptiness she had carried ever since she reached adulthood. From that moment on, Maria's life began to change. Knowing that someone cared about her, asked about her, and wanted to spend time with her made her feel truly valued. That night, after returning home, she couldn't sleep. She lay awake thinking about David and everything they had shared, wondering if it had all been real or just a dream. Her mother soon noticed that something was different. Maria no longer behaved like her usual self. She was constantly lost in thought, smiling to herself, and seemed distracted all the time. The next day, Maria took her mother's cows out to graze as usual, but instead of focusing on her work, she went straight to the place where David was waiting. The moment she saw him, she ran into his arms. The two spent more time together, growing even closer, and Maria was happier than ever whenever she was with the man she loved. As the days passed, David became an inseparable part of Maria's life. She grew so attached to him that she often lost herself in their time together, paying far less attention to the cows than she used to because she spent nearly all of her time with David in the forest. After that, David began introducing Maria to a completely different way of life. He taught her proper table manners, showed her new customs, and described what life in the city was like. He encouraged her to leave the countryside one day and experience the world beyond the forest, telling her that the city was full of exciting things she had never seen before, beautiful places to visit, vibrant nightlife, and the opportunity to make new friends. As the days passed, Maria became more convinced that David truly loved and cared about her. He was always looking out for her, bringing her beautiful clothes and delicious food whenever they met. They spent nearly every day together, and before long, Maria had grown deeply attached to him. She felt that her life had no meaning without him. Whenever she was by his side, she felt as if she were floating, as though she had the whole world in her hands. David filled her life with love and happiness, constantly reassuring her that he would never leave her and would always stand by her. One day, as rain began to fall around them, Maria couldn't have been happier being there with the man she loved. Later, David gave Maria a book to read and pass the time. The book discussed married life and romantic relationships between couples, giving her a glimpse into a world she had never known. While they were spending time together one day, they suddenly noticed several children from the village watching them from a distance. Maria immediately panicked, afraid the children would tell her mother what they had seen. David tried to calm her down, reminding her that they were only children and probably didn't understand what they were looking at. Maria eventually returned home, still worried, taking the book with her. When she arrived, her mother wasn't home, so she took out the book and began reading it. A short while later, her mother walked in unexpectedly and noticed the book in Maria's hands. "Who gave you that book?" her mother asked. Caught off guard, Maria quickly replied that she had found it in the forest and had only been looking at the pictures while trying to teach herself how to read. Her mother didn't believe her. Convinced that Maria was lying, she became furious and struck her. She told Maria that she had been acting strangely for quite some time, that she was always distracted, lost in thought, and no longer behaved like herself. She accused her of secretly seeing a young man. Maria angrily denied the accusation, insisting that her mother had no proof and that none of what she was saying was true. Her mother warned her that if she ever became pregnant, there would be severe consequences. She kept demanding to know the name of the young man Maria was supposedly seeing, but Maria insisted that she wasn't involved with anyone and pleaded with her mother to believe her. Instead, her mother's suspicions only grew stronger. Eventually, her mother told her that on Sunday they would go to church so she could speak with the priest and confess her sins. Maria didn't want to go because she was afraid her mother was making the situation much bigger than it really was, but her mother refused to change her mind. When Sunday arrived, Maria and her mother went to church together. The priest spoke to Maria gently, trying to calm her fears and encourage her to tell him everything. He assured her that whatever she shared would remain completely confidential and that he would simply help her understand whether her actions were right or wrong. Feeling reassured by his kindness, Maria finally opened up. She confessed everything that had happened and admitted that she had fallen in love with a young man named David. Because of her innocence and lack of experience, she explained that she had never realized the things they had done could be considered sinful. She told the priest how deeply she loved David and how she couldn't imagine her life without him because he had completely changed it and made her happy. Maria went on to explain that David always brought her beautiful clothes and delicious food, treated her with kindness and respect, looked after her, and was always there whenever she needed him. She said he solved every problem she faced, and on the days when she couldn't see him, she felt deeply sad. After hearing Maria's confession, the priest spoke privately with her mother. He explained that Maria was simply an inexperienced teenager who didn't fully understand the consequences of her actions or the situation she had become involved in. The priest then turned to Maria's mother and gently criticized her for neglecting her daughter's emotional and educational needs. He explained that she had made a serious mistake by never sending Maria to school or preparing her for life. He told her that she had raised Maria in complete isolation, caring only about the daily farm work while never taking the time to understand what her daughter was thinking, feeling, or going through, especially during such an important stage of her life. He went on to explain that teenagers are bound to make mistakes if they don't have proper guidance. Maria needed someone to teach her the difference between right and wrong, answer her questions, and help her navigate adolescence. Instead of judging her, she needed support and understanding. Before they left, the priest advised Maria's mother to take her to a gynecologist so a medical examination could determine whether there was anything she should be concerned about. The very next day, Maria's mother took her to see a specialist. After a thorough examination, the doctor smiled and reassured her. "Congratulations," the doctor said. "Your daughter isn't pregnant. In fact, she's still a virgin. No one has ever had a physical relationship with her." The doctor then explained that everything Maria had described had been the result of vivid fantasies rather than real events. Because she had grown up feeling isolated, lonely, and emotionally neglected, her mind had created an imaginary person who gave her the love, care, and attention she desperately longed for. David, the kind artist who listened to her, brought her gifts, comforted her, and fulfilled all her emotional needs, had never actually existed. He was simply a product of her imagination, created to fill the emptiness caused by loneliness and the lack of affection in her life. Hearing this, Maria felt relieved, especially after knowing how much her mother had doubted her. Meanwhile, her mother was left completely shocked by the doctor's explanation and became deeply worried about her daughter's mental well-being. Later, after returning home, Maria lay in bed and imagined David visiting her once again. In her mind, he told her that he was hurt because she hadn't come to see him and reminded her that he loved her and would never abandon her. Maria smiled and replied that she loved him too, wished she could always be with him, and felt safest whenever he was around. David assured her that he would never leave her and would always remain by her side. It is then revealed that none of these encounters were real. David had existed only in Maria's imagination. The loneliness, isolation, and emotional neglect she experienced had caused her mind to create an imaginary companion who gave her the affection and attention she desperately needed. The film ends with a powerful message. Parents play a vital role during their children's teenage years. Young people need guidance, communication, and emotional support to help them distinguish right from wrong and navigate the challenges of adolescence. Without that care, they can become vulnerable to loneliness, confusion, and emotional struggles. A parent's presence, understanding, and involvement can make all the difference during this important stage of life. If you enjoyed this movie recap, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next story. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.